In the words of Ecclesiastes, a season is set for everything, a time for every experience under heaven, a time for dancing and a time for wailing, a time for birthing and a time for dying, a time for speaking and a time for silence, a time for seeking and a time for losing. The time of mourning is a complicated time, filled with many emotions and memories, both bitter and sweet. We begin our service with the recitation of psalms and prayers, thus linking Stan's life with the 3,000-year-old tradition of the people Israel and the eternity of God. Psalm 121. Esa einai el heharim me'ayin yavo ezri. Esa einai el heharim me'ayin yavo ezri. Ezri me'im Adonai osei shamayim va'aretz. Ezri me'im Adonai osei shamayim va'aretz. I turn my eyes to the mountains. From where will my help come? My help comes from Adonai, maker of heaven and earth. Adonai will not let your foot give way. Your guardian will not slumber. The guardian of Israel neither slumbers nor sleeps. Adonai is your protection, a guardian at your right hand. By day the sun will not strike you, nor the moon by night. Adonai will guard you from all harm and guard your life. Adonai guards your going and coming, now and forever. Psalm 23. Mizmor leDavid, Adonai ro'i lo echzar, binot deshe yarbitzeni, al mei menuchot yenahaleni. Nafshi yeshovev, nafshi yeshovev, yancheni v'maglei tzedek le'eman shemo. Gam ki eilech mingeit al mavet, lo irara ki ata imadi. Shivtecha umishantecha, Shivtecha umishantecha, Hema yenachamuni, Taharuch lefadai shulchan, Neged sorerai, Dishanta vashem roshi, Kosi revaya. Ach tov v'chesed, yirdefuni kol yemei chayai, v'shavti beveit Adonai, v'shavti beveit Adonai, le'orech yamim. Adonai is my shepherd, I shall not want, giving me repose in green meadows, leading me beside the still waters, to revive my spirit, guiding me on the right path, for that is God's essence. Though I walk through a valley of the shadow of death, I fear no harm, for you are with me. Your staff and your rod comfort me. You prepare a banquet for me in the presence of my foes. You anoint my head with oil, my cup overflows. Surely goodness and kindness shall be my portion all the days of my life, and I shall dwell in the house of Adonai forever. Stanley Brownstein was a generous, loving, and genuine person who treasured family, interpersonal relationships, and spreading kindness. He was born on April 5, 1938, in Brooklyn, and lived in the New York area until 1976. Stan attended Hofstra University, where he met his beloved wife, Mindy. After failing one of his economic courses, Stan decided to take a ceramics class to make up lost credit. Little did he know that he would find the love of his life sitting across the room. They shared a locker together for that semester, which led to them getting married 1.5 years later on June 12, 1960. Mindy and Stan spent 65 wonderful years together and had 4 children, Larry, Michael, Debbie, and Abby. Stan embodied the Jewish value of ve'ahavta l'reacha kamocha, love your neighbor as yourself. He befriended every person he met and spread joy and kindness. He knew the names of every receptionist he interacted with, the wait staff at his favorite restaurants, and even his mail carrier. Stan went so far as to invite his newspaper delivery person to Thanksgiving so that he would not be alone for the holiday. Stan additionally always thanked anyone in customer service for their help, even if he argued with them over the phone. He always fought for justice and fairness. After serving in the Army Reserves, Stan had a successful career as a buyer and wholesaler in women's accessories. Stan and the family moved to Connecticut, where he worked in Hamden at a handbag company. He then received an offer to be a salesman in Midtown Manhattan. Rather than moving the family back to New York, for 35 years, he woke up at 4:30 a.m. to catch the Metro North train to his office in Manhattan. He learned the names of all the regular passengers and knew their favorite seats. On his final train ride home from Manhattan, the day he retired, the conductor made an announcement thanking him, and he exited to a round of applause from his fellow commuters. Judaism was important to Stan. His family held Shabbat dinners, and Stan used to attend the early Saturday morning service each week, followed by the rabbi's study session. When his father passed away, he attended Minyan every day to say Kaddish because, quote, it's what you do for your father. Stan loved to sing, and he had a beautiful voice. He would sing loudly in services, catching the attention of all the ladies. He attended the full high holiday services from morning to night and was proud to be part of the Jewish community. It is fitting that Stan passed away on Monday, right before the start of the Jewish holiday of Purim. 2 of the main mitzvot, commandments of Purim, are mishloach manot, giving gifts of food and drink to family and friends, and matanot la'evyonim, giving gifts of food or money to the poor. Stan was always looking to help those in need and give gifts and support to those who need it. He gave money to the homeless and did thoughtful acts of kindness, like leaving out a cooler of drinks for the folks picking up his recycling. He always thought of others before himself and was devoted to his family. Stan extended his love to his children and their spouses, Larry and Amalia, Michael and Laura, Debbie and Thomas, and Abby and Arnold, and his 11 grandchildren and spouses, Nicole and Zachary, Tali and Christopher, Maya, Jake and Katie, Olivia and Joey, Nathan, Anna and Tommy, Kayla, Haley, Joshua, and Joseph. Stan was also papa to his great-grandchild, Cameron. May we all be like Stan and love fully, give generously, and spread loving kindness. I'll now invite up Michael to speak.
Thank you all for being here today. Our whole family is moved, and I have to say overwhelmed, by the outpouring of kind words and love for my father and our family. As I've heard all morning this morning, he was a great guy. When we got the news that my father was in the hospital, the whole family gathered by his side within hours. His children and their spouses, grandchildren and their spouses, his great-grandchild Cam took turns sitting with him. He was surrounded by love. In the last 2 days, we've remained together, sharing stories, holding the many objects which remind and connect us to him, his good pen, a Lady Liberty dollar that he always carried in his pocket, the face rubbed almost entirely off, a variety of smooth touchstones, a pocket knife with an abalone inlaid handle. Ironically, the person who would be enjoying this time together more than anyone is my father. One object that we found was a copy of the speech that my father wrote for the occasion of his and my mother's 50th wedding anniversary party, parts of which I'd like to share with you. My father began, "I want you to know that I cry at movies and commercials and parades. Seeing all of you right now, he'd be absolutely bawling." My father had an enormous capacity for love, none more so than for my mother. I won't share their entire meet cute, you already did a nice job of that, but know that it was love at first sight. His heart did go pitter-patter, and my father, in his speech, said, "I realized that I was really lucky that at 22, I was smart enough and had the good sense to seize the moment and grab the one girl who has meant everything to me since the moment I saw her." My parents' love has only grown as they built a life together, filled with laughter and joy, family and friends, never missing a moment to express their love and affection. Mindy and Stan, Stan and Mindela. True love story for the ages. He went on, quote, "We have been blessed with 4 wonderful children who showered us with grandchildren, the noisiest, silliest, and best kids in the world. My father loved his family, and they loved him. He cheered their dreams, celebrated their accomplishments, visited them, called them, connecting with each as an individual. Nothing made him happier than when the family was together, and he made every effort to make that happen as often as possible. There was nothing he wouldn't do for us, nothing. Nowhere he wouldn't go, anytime, no questions asked." My parents had the incredible gift of making and keeping loving friendships throughout their lives, so many of you who are here today. From befriending Hannah Lee and Ronnie while both were on their honeymoon, to the Plafkers down the hall when they were all new parents, to their many friendships in Long Island and Connecticut and beyond. Stan and Mindy cherished their friends. As my father said, friends round out my life and make it fun and meaningful. For me, my father was a prince. It took me a while to understand this. When I was really young, I knew he was a hard worker. He left in the morning to catch the train into the city before any of us were awake, having already shined his shoes and completed his routine of Canadian Royal Air Force calisthenics. He didn't arrive home usually until after 7 o'clock, kissing my mother at the door before washing his hands and sitting down to dinner. He treated his home like a palace, and on weekends would work from morning until night until everything was exactly as he needed it to be. The garden weeded, the fence painted, the deck power washed, the driveway genited, the leaves raked, every single leaf. So many leaves. My brothers, sisters, and I have differing memories of lots of things, but we all agree on the many times that we were all loaded into the car to go somewhere, only to then have to wait while he vacuumed the kitchen floor or cleaned the stove. My father personified work ethic. The summer that I graduated from high school, my father got me a job working at the Henry Richards factory, loading and unloading trucks. One day, my father, who at that point was a salesman at the New York showroom, visited the factory. And what I witnessed as he walked along the factory floor could only be described as royal. The stuffers, the sewers, the warehouse workers all paused their work, lining his path to say hello and shake his hand. I had seen executives from New York visit the factory all the time. This greeting had never happened before. Clearly, something about my father was special. I was stunned and curious, so I started paying closer attention. Everywhere I went with my father, I noticed how he interacted with everyone he came into contact with. The wait staff at a restaurant, the cashier at the car wash, the teller at the bank. He greeted all warmly, and when my father asked, "How are you?" he really wanted to know. He respected pride and effort in one's work and was generous with his praise, appreciation, and loyalty. Once you were his friend, you were on his list and could expect a phone call just to say hello and check in. My friend Lawrence and my father share a birthday. Lawrence woke up to his annual birthday phone call from Stan without fail. One day, I was at my parents' home and couldn't find my father, and I found him out by the mailbox talking with Mark, his mail carrier. Mark told me that he had been in the hospital and that my father had called him regularly to see how he was. My father and I recently took a walk on the bike path at Hammonasset Beach, where he said good morning to every person we pass. Every person we pass, wishing them a good day. I'm sure that everyone here today, and I've heard quite a few this morning, has a story to tell about Stanley's kindness and genuine care. My father was the best type of teacher, a model of how to be a loving parent and spouse, a caring friend and a kind person. We are all made better for having had my father in our lives. I know that his example will continue to guide us all.
I'll now invite Nicole.
Wow, this sucks. My grandpa's one of my best friends in the whole world. Do I need to be closer? My grandpa's one of my best friends in the whole world. He's always been the first person I call with any news, good or bad. The person who's always been on my side, no matter what. My biggest cheerleader and constant shoulder. Everyone's already said this, but Grandpa always wore his heart on his sleeve, and it was really easy to make him cry. I used to think that was so funny. We would put together family photo montages just to watch him cry. He taught me it's okay to feel big and in public, to tell everyone I loved them as often as I think of it. Those he loved with everything, and they knew it. You all know it. Those he did not love also knew it. It was thrilling, truly, to watch him take down customer service representatives who he felt had wronged him. I'll never forget him standing up at an infamous Mandel Family Circle meeting, tapping his wrist and saying in a serious voice, "Tick-tock, Arthur," to get someone to stop talking. His favorite things were loving his family, fighting injustice, screaming at the news, fine leather goods, both wrists full of jewelry, and following us around with the dustbuster. He also loved a really strong saying, and growing up, both my grandparents had a lot of really strong sayings. When you live clean, for when you get a really good parking spot. When you buy good, when you maybe paid a little too much, but it was a good quality. The one that's really hitting me in the gut today is this kind of laughter leads to crying, and I really feel that. I'm so lucky to have spent almost 37 years laughing. When he would answer the phone, pretending to be Sarah. When we would dance to Aiko Aiko. When he would fall asleep mid-conversation and then go, I'm just resting my eyes. When we would misbehave, he would always tell us he was going to call the newspaper and tell them what we did. Well, Grandpa, I'm a press secretary now. I can call them myself. I'm really lucky to cry.
I'll now invite Anna, Olivia, and Joe.
All right. Good morning, everybody, and thank you for being here. We're Olivia, Anna, and Joe, and it's our honor to talk to you about our grandpa today. When writing this, we were sitting at Grandpa's desk, and we found that speech he wrote for his 50th wedding anniversary party, so there may be some repeats, but bear with us.
So don't come at us for copyright infringement. We're letting you know now, in Grandpa's own words, how that speech went. I want you to know I cry at movies, commercials, news broadcasts, parades, baby namings, etc. And that can be contagious. So just in case.
And we also know that laughter is contagious, so we'll do our best to keep it light where we can. After all, as comfortable as our grandpa was crying, he also loved to laugh.
There was that time Wayfair lost my dining table in transit. They offered me what I can only describe as a pretty measly discount for the trouble. So naturally, I called Grandpa to ask what he thought I should do. His advice was simple. Livy, tell them you had to cancel a dinner party. And then ask them how they plan on making that right. No customer service representative stood a chance against Stan the man.
And then there was that time I racked up hundreds of dollars of you or I parking tickets. Grandpa was outraged. Not at me, obviously. I knew there was one way to get these wiped away. Send the big dog on him. I didn't pay a dime.
There was that time Grandma and Grandpa took me to the Norwalk Aquarium when Liv went to college. We hit a bunch of traffic on the way. Grandpa really didn't like traffic. Next thing I knew, we were driving on the sidewalk, and we got there in no time.
Or how he was the most enthusiastic spectator of all our sporting events over the years. Soccer, softball, lacrosse, field hockey, football. He was always there. Grandma, too. Never quite knew the rules, but that never stopped him from cheering or occasionally letting the refs know when he disagreed with their calls.
Or how he taught all of us to drive, which in hindsight may have been a little bit questionable given the whole driving on the sidewalk thing. But he used to tell me I had a lead foot, always with a wink, because I think he knew he did too.
He would always talk about how the condo association at Oronoque already did a great job with the landscaping, but Grandpa always believed in going the extra mile. This particular extra mile involved me digging a trench, planting more bushes than were already there, hauling sticks into the woods, and moving hundreds of pounds of gravel. But it always turned out great, and as always, he was very appreciative.
Now, there's a million things we'd love to tell you about our grandpa, about his effortless style, gold on the right, silver on the left, about his innate ability to make friends wherever he went, about how he would call you when you were sick, about how he made you feel like the most important person in the world when you were talking to him.
But more than anything, how he is so intricately woven into the fabric of our lives because he showed up for every part of it, fully, generously, and without hesitation. And if you were lucky enough to have Grandpa in your life, you knew one thing for certain, that you were lucky enough.
I've been lucky in my life to have a lot of people be proud of my accomplishments, but no one particularly like Grandpa. Admittedly, I wasn't always the best student, but I changed my ways a bit during college, and I decided to take a page out of Stan Brownstein's book, learn new things, take pride in doing good work, and giving it my best. After tests or quizzes, I'd call him. We'd talk about my marks, as he'd call them. He would always ask me about the job market after college, specific advice saying pick something that the computers can't do. There's no one you looked forward more to sharing your successes with. There could never be anyone more proud. He always told me I could do anything. He told me he saw himself in me, and my goodness, is there a better compliment than that in the world? I really don't think so.
If there is one thing that defined Grandpa more than anything else, it was the way he loved his people, especially our grandma. Stan and Mindy, Mindy and Stan, the greatest example of love and devotion we've ever known. Being newly married myself, I've always felt incredibly fortunate to witness a love like theirs up close, because the life they built together showed us all what love and marriage are meant to look like. They giggled together, constantly. Respect was abundant. They held hands all the time, and they danced when they could too. They traveled the world, and they built friendships that lasted a lifetime. Their homes, filled with their collections and photographs, told the story of a life well lived. They prayed together and instilled traditions that meant so much to them and now mean so much to us. They raised 4 remarkably kind kids who went on to find the most wonderful partners of their own and raise the noisiest, silliest, best group of grandkids you can imagine. Again, his words, not ours. But more than anything, they simply loved being together. And I think I speak for everyone in this sanctuary when I say you always felt a little bit of magic in just being around them. And the thing about their love was that it showed up in the smallest, seemingly most ordinary of moments. About a month ago, Joey and I had Grandma and Grandpa over for bagels and lox at our new house. A little before that brunch, I mentioned to Grandpa how much I loved one of their paintings. It's of a hot dog cart. I promise it's classier than it sounds. It was just something I had said in passing, but when they walked through our front door that morning, tucked inside Grandpa's tote was the painting, taken right off the wall. Never a second thought, he told me. Rumor has it an Eggy poster was meant to replace it, so we could still make that happen. But that was Grandpa, thoughtful in ways that were both grand and beautifully simple. And words will never quite be enough to say how grateful I am for that Sunday morning brunch. The 4 of us sitting around the table, talking, reminiscing, laughing about everything and nothing at all. It was one more special moment with Grandma and Grandpa, one of so many I've been lucky enough to share with them in my 30 years. Now a gift I will carry with me forever.
But isn't that how we feel about every moment we shared with him? The thing is, Grandpa was the type of person who knew the value of a moment before it was ever gone. It was written all over his face. In each room we shared as a family, it's inevitable that at some point, Grandpa would look at Grandma, or Grandma looking at Grandpa, and they'd communicate something special with only their eyes. I always thought he was saying to her, "Can you believe this is our life? We must be the two luckiest people on earth." Last Thursday, I got to go to dinner with my grandpa one last time. And while I never could have imagined it would be the last, I realized that if I had known, I wouldn't change a thing. I would have asked him questions, listened to him tell stories, joked with him, and kissed him goodbye, and we did all those things. As many of you know, and as we mentioned, Grandpa has the tendency to rest his eyes. And on this night, I kept saying, "Okay, I'm keeping you up, I'm leaving now." But for some reason, I stayed, and the three of us talked for another 40 minutes. Talk about a Jewish goodbye. But in that extra time, we talked about many things, and at some point I said to him, "I can't believe I've never asked you that before. I'm sure as I get older, there will be many things I think to ask you about that I never did. But I know in my heart you've already given me all the answers I'll ever need." For as long as we could remember, our grandparents' answering machine has been a recording of Grandpa's voice saying, "Wherever we wander, wherever we roam, sooner or later we're bound to come home. Please leave a message."
So Grandpa, today we'll leave you with this. Wherever we wander, wherever we roam, we promise to take a part of you with us wherever we go.
We love you more than our words could ever say, and we'll miss you forever. Sweet dreams, Grandpa. We love you.
I'll now invite Kayla and Haley.
Hi, it's just going to be me. So, my grandpa was a role model in the truest sense. He taught by the way he lived. He showed me what a loving, long-term relationship looks like. The way that he cared for Grandma, the small everyday acts of kindness, and the way he was always excited to retell the story of how they met and fell in love. Those were the things that shaped my understanding of how to show the people that you love them. He also modeled what it means to be a friend, not just to family, but to everyone that he met. He had that rare ability to make people feel seen and welcomed, whether he'd known them for years or for 5 minutes. Even though I didn't get to grow up nearby, Grandpa never let distance get in the way of being present. He showed up for every milestone without ever making it feel like an obligation. I will forever be grateful that he and Grandma flew out to Arizona for my graduation, even though I know that at that time travel was not easy for them. That was just who he was. He showed up for family. He showed up for the people that he loved. When I look back, I realize that everything he taught me about love, about friendship, and about showing up was really about how to live a good life. His example is something that I will carry with me every day, and I'm grateful for the pieces of him that continue on in all of us. I'll miss him deeply, but I'll also keep trying to live in a way that would make him proud. Thank you.
And we'll conclude with Jake, who will speak and then perform a song.
The last time I was up here, I needed a step stool, so. And there were Twizzlers, but. To be honest with you all, I don't even know where to begin to describe the love I have for my grandpa. He was simply a great man who took an immense amount of pride in everything that he did. Life and relationships are often filled with good advice and passed down cliches of how to live life. But I can't think of anybody who truly embodied it all quite like my grandpa. He had such a strong sense of purpose to live with intention, accountability, and kindness. His advice was never measured by the joy he took in giving it, but by his love for those who received it. Nothing made him happier than seeing people do well. While looking through my grandpa's closet, an assortment of his everyday carries, many of which Michael mentioned, we found a slip of paper from an old fortune cookie that said, "Don't forget to be present in the moment." I feel very blessed to say that I can't think of any moment throughout my life or any of our lives where he wasn't present. He was so dedicated and invested in everything that we all did. We both took so much joy in our conversations. We'd talk about whatever was going on in our lives, dive into his fondest memories, and he always loved asking about whatever was going on with the band. I have to say, never in a million years would I think my grandpa would put a sticker on his car. To see my band sticker, well, that just says it all. I would always leave our times together with way more than I came with. For as much as he was my grandpa, he's also my greatest friend. I remain truly in awe of how my grandpa would make each one of us feel like the brightest star. Of course, there was no greater star in his sky than my grandmother. I feel so fortunate to have had a front row seat to one of the greatest love stories to ever exist. And it meant the world to me to see how much he loved my wife, Katie. He always asked how she was doing, and he ended every call the same way: "I love you, and please send our love to Katie." I love my grandfather, and have always beamed with pride to be his grandson. In the infinite realm of possibilities, how lucky we all are to have been able to share this life with one of the greatest men to ever walk this earth. Well, I will certainly feel his absence. Our relationship was filled with so many meaningful moments that I know I will only discover more and more just how amazing he was. He was a man of great character, and I know we will always, and we will all find ways to carry him forward. To be kind, to be warm, take interest in the lives of the people that you love, always offer help, be serious about your work as you are about your joy. Clean the dishes, pick up a vacuum. Katie, I'll try it. And above all, family first. Even in his passing, he gave us a beautiful blessing. He gave us the peace of knowing how much he loved us and how much we loved him. I love you, Grandpa, always and forever. Thank you. Well, I got a band here, so we're going to play a song. It was a really special moment as we were looking at old photos and videos. There's a really, really touching video of my grandparents dancing to this song at one of our concerts. And so if you know the words, sing along.
just a goodbye. Teach your children well. Their father's hell did slowly go by. And feed them on your dreams, the one they picks, the one you'll know by. Don't you ever ask them why. If they told you, you would cry. So just look at them and sigh. And know they love you. Of tender years, can't know the fears. Your elders grew up. Be free to tell them with your youth. They seek the truth before they can die. Teach your parents well. Their children's hell will slowly go by. And feed them on your dreams, the one they picks, the one you'll know by. Don't you ever ask them why. If they told you, you would cry. So just look at them and sigh. And know they love you. Don't you ever ask them why. If they told you, you would cry. So just look at them and smile. And know they love you.
Beautiful. In a moment, we'll conclude with El Malei Rachamim, the memorial prayer. But before that, I just want to give out the Shiva information. After this, we'll proceed to burial in Wintergreen, and then Shiva will go until 8 p.m. tonight, and tomorrow from 4 to 8 p.m. at 81 Francis Drive in Bethany. Please rise for the memorial prayer. El Malei Rachamim, Shochein Mameromim, Hamitzei Menucha Nechona, תחת כנפי השכינה, ממעלות קדושים וטהורים, כזוהר הרקיע מסעירים. את נשמת שמה בן אברהם ורחל, שהלך לעולמו, בגן עדן תהי מנוחתו. אנא בעל רחמים, הסתירהו מסתר כנפיך לעולמים, וצרור מצרור החיים את נשמתו. אדוני הוא נחלתו, וינוח משלום על משכבו, ונאמר Amen. El Malei Rachamim, exalted, compassionate God, grant infinite rest in your sheltering presence among the holy and pure to the soul of Stan, who is gone to his eternal home. Merciful One, we ask that our loved one find perfect peace in your eternal embrace. May his soul be bound up in the bond of life. May he rest in peace. And let us say, Amen.